What up, my friends? If you've been around on this channel, you might know that I'm deep in a shelf cooking challenge right now. And I made a comment in one of the videos, but we're not just eating rice and beans around here. And then I realized that rice and beans, they might get a bad rap. And I wanted to prove to myself and to everybody out there that rice and beans don't have to be boring. So today I'm sharing with you 3 very different rice and bean recipes. They have completely different flavor profiles, but the one thing that they do have in common is that they are all minimal on cleanup. If you happen to be new here, hi, how are you? How's the family? Thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail and giving me a chance. On this channel, I love to do recipe inspiration. So if you need help with your menu planning, especially with budget-friendly recipes that the entire family would enjoy, I have plenty of those videos on my channel. I'd love you to check it out. And if you enjoy the vibe while you're here, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. In today's video, we're gonna be doing a Crockpot butter chicken without the chicken. We're gonna be doing a garlicky black bean fried rice dish. And last but not least, a smoky Spanish rice skillet. These all make incredibly generous portions, so it's perfect if you're trying to take a little break on the grocery budget. I will have all of the recipes down below, but let's go take a look at how we put them together. Star of the show, beans. I got this huge bag. It is a 10-pound bag of organic black beans. We're doing roughly 2 cups of beans in there. The bag actually conveniently tells you a couple ways to prepare these because these are completely uncooked beans. So you want to do a soak on them first. So they do give an option for quick soak. I have attempted this and an Instant Pot option in the past and just not really liked it. I prefer the overnight soak option. So for that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this with water. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning right now. I don't need these until way later. So normally you'd let it soak overnight, but this is the equivalent of overnight. It's basically you want it to soak for around 8 hours. So I'm gonna cover this up with water, get it on the back of my counter, and then that'll be soaked for later when I'm ready to start preparing the beans and cooking. I did 2 cups of beans because I think that I'm going to prepare some to actually freeze as well. So I don't have to do this again with the next batch. I won't need that many beans for what I'm doing, but I wanted to kind of do the double work now to save myself a step later because you guys know, I always like to help my future self out.
I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. What goes up must come down. There's lots of friendly faces all around, and nothing's ever lifting me higher than a touch of your sweet desire. What we're all will turn right. We just have to hold on through the night. As long as we are watching the fire, we'll be safe from the devil's choir. I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. Yeah, yeah.
You may hear my son in the background. The twins are asleep, but the oldest is still awake right now. We are putting together a 1-pan Spanish rice situation here with some beans and some leftover pork. I pulled everything for myself. As you can see, this is one of my favorite ways to cook, is just pull all the ingredients out so you can just dump it one session and be a happy camper. I have leftover rice that I'm working with now. You could do this with uncooked rice. You would just need to adjust the amount of liquid that you put in it. All right, so we're going in with about a tablespoon or 2 of avocado oil and maybe a tablespoon and a half of butter. All right, now we're gonna get about half a cup of diced white onion in there, but you can use whatever onion you prefer to cook with. And I'm just gonna let that cook for probably like 2 or 3 minutes, just until it softens a little bit. Next up, I'm doing a couple cloves of garlic and a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm gonna stir that all together. Now I'm gonna do about 3 cups of that rice. I love using the meat masher for this purpose because I feel like it breaks up the clumps of leftover rice really well. Now we got the rice toasted a little bit. We're just gonna add in about half a cup of broth, or you could just use water. Gonna do some corn, about 15 ounces of black beans. I had my own beans, but you could just use a can if you wanted to. And then I'm just gonna toss that all together. Now, if you wanted this super budget friendly, you could just do what we see here and the seasonings, but I'm gonna add in some shredded pork that I have left over. Pork is super budget friendly anyway. All right, now we're doing about a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of chili powder, salt and pepper. I'm also gonna zest a little lime in there, and then we're gonna juice the lime in here at the end, but we're gonna just stir this all and let it cook for like 10 minutes, just let everything come to temperature because that pork just came from the fridge. You could also use a store-bought shredded pork if you wanted to, or shredded chicken, some ground beef that you had left over from taco night. I'm just gonna squeeze that lime over that, stir it one more time, plate it, and dinner is done. Poor John was just trying to sneak a bite of dinner. And I was like, no, wait, you gotta tell your friends, let's do a live reaction.
Live reaction.
Our son is watching Finding Dory in the background and playing with ice cream. It's not actual ice cream.
He's living his best life.
He's living his best life.
Well, that's all.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's my thing.
Here's his thing.
You would never know that's not white rice.
You would never know what?
Sorry, you would never know that is white rice.
Why?
Turned into, because it tastes like Spanish rice.
But that's what Spanish rice is.
No, like the packet, like whatever. What is the seasoning? Like, you know how when you buy Spanish rice, it comes with the seasoning?
Right.
Whatever you did
Is like Spanish. Well,
like,
that's because it's a traditional Spanish rice is made like this. This is how you.
That's how we should make it from now on.
Instead of a packet. John is just now just.
Listen, I'm new here.
He's new.
Okay.
Anyways, thoughts overall?
Thoughts overall, it's fantastic. And if you don't make this, there's something wrong with you.
Oh, Jonathan!
That is so...
That's not nice to our friends. Maybe they don't like this type of vibe.
If you're into this kind of vibe, you need to make this.
There we go.
This needs to happen. I feel like it just works. The fact that you added the corn.
I cannot do any type of skillet meal like that without adding corn. It needs to be there.
Yeah, it needs to be there.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Scale of 1 to 10.
It's a solid 8.5.
8.5. That's a pretty good score. I'd give it like an 8. I can't figure out. You know what I'd want on it is like a little sour cream. You know what I mean? Maybe cheese. Always.
Well, my thing would be cheese, and
Queso
I would
fresco cheese.
switch the beans.
2 kidney beans. You like kidney beans
I'm a
better?
Kidney bean.
Yeah. See, I like the black beans better.
Really?
But I would definitely add cheese.
Add cheese.
But we're on a budget.
We're on a budget. This is a budget
And
meal.
cheese it really cuts into the budget.
And my thing is this: on a budget meal, I feel like you don't feel like you're eating on a budget.
And do you see how much
that's
there
what I
is?
mean.
Like that would serve a family of 10.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of food.
Or lunch for tomorrow.
Yeah,
as
and
it will be.
and you can freeze it.
Right.
So it's like I can take half of that, put it in freezer cubes, and then have it for lunch.
Because this was very cheap.
Very cheap.
Right.
Especially because I made those beans. Like the beans were
from
a huge bag, dried beans.
Right.
So this was a very inexpensive meal.
Very inexpensive, very flavorful.
Not missing out.
Not missing out. If you didn't tell somebody this was a cheap meal, I don't feel like they would feel like they're eating a cheap meal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense there? Makes sense.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll get that feedback over to corporate, and you guys are diving into your next recipe. All right, I just had to show you guys how much food this made. So we have lunches for tomorrow, dinner for tonight, and then 4 lunches, I'd say. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish servings. And if you had kids, this would stretch even further. I'd say this is like 8 servings for adults, 7 to 8 servings for adults. And you could stretch it even further if you did like side salads, whatever else with it. All right, you guys are going to flip out when you see how easy this is. But basically, we're gonna be making like a vegetarian version of butter chicken, which is a new favorite of ours in this house. So I'm gonna start by getting the sauce component together. You can easily do this on the stove. We're basically just gonna be cooking beans. So it can be done on the stove, but I just wanna set it and forget it, so I'm doing it in the crock pot. I'm putting in an 8-ounce can of tomato paste, and then I just rinsed it out with a little bit of water. I'm gonna do what remains of this container of Greek yogurt. You could also use coconut milk if you have that on hand, but I did not. So we're gonna instead do Greek yogurt and sugar, but if you did coconut milk and it was sweetened, then you wouldn't have to worry about the sugar part. That was probably the equivalent of about 1/3 cup of Greek yogurt. I'm gonna do some salt and pepper. I'm gonna do a couple cloves of garlic, a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm gonna do a little onion, about 1/2 cup. And then I have this garam masala, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. We're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of that. Gonna do a little sprinkle of ginger, ground ginger. You could use actual ginger if you had it. Doing 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. And I'm gonna start with 1/8 teaspoon of this Kashmiri chili powder. But if you don't like it spicy, you don't have to worry about this step. I do wanna mention too that at the end, I'm gonna stir in some of this fenugreek leaves. They can just go in like the last 20 minutes of cooking. And because I guess they lose their potency if they cook too long. So this will get stirred in towards the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stir that all together. You guys let me forget the brown sugar. You can do brown sugar or granulated sugar. You could start with like 1 tablespoon of it and then just adjust it for your sweetness preference. We personally like this to be like on the sweeter side. All right, and then I have 2 cans of drained garbanzo beans. Chickpeas, if you will. I just wanted to show that I saved myself the juice from this because apparently that's good for sensory play with kids. So I did save myself the juice. I'm gonna keep this in the fridge because apparently you don't want to mix it up until right before you're gonna play with them. But what you do is you take the chickpea foam, you add 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and if you want to, some food coloring, and then you just use a hand mixer and you basically get it to the point until it turns into what looks like soapy foam, and it's fun for them to play, and it's taste safe in case they want to take a bite of it. But we're gonna get this stirred up. I'm gonna cook it on low for just a few hours just to basically bring it to temperature, and then we'll serve it over rice. And if you wanted to add a different protein to it, you could add chicken and make it butter chicken. You could add pork. You could add like ground lamb, some meatballs, whatever you wanted. You guys, you let me forget another ingredient. We got a couple tablespoons of good old butter going in to make the butter chicken. That's kind of a key element. So we're just gonna pop that in there, let it melt down, and I'll stir later. All right, as you guys can see, I have myself set up with a really nice, easy, efficient station to get this garlic black bean fried rice thrown together. I took the time to prep myself a bunch of veggies for various recipes, so I'm kind of just using a random assortment of things. But I have some like banana peppers, a little bit of diced celery, I have some onion, shredded carrot, but you could just use whatever you have on hand. This is a budget-friendly, clean out the fridge type of situation. Into the skillet that I just have on high right now to get it heated up, I'm gonna toss in 1 tablespoon of butter and about 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. That was a little heavy-handed, but you get the idea. I forgot to hit record, thriving, but I just put a couple, probably like 3 cloves of garlic in. I'm also gonna toss in about 1/2 cup of diced onion. And I'm just gonna let that cook for like a minute or two just to soften up the onion and get the garlic fragrant. Now that the pan is heated too, I'm gonna kick it down to medium-high heat. I have an embarrassingly small amount of diced celery left, but we are using what we got. So we got like 1/4 cup of that, but you can skip that or add it. If you had like a coleslaw mix, this would be a great time to use that. Shredded cabbage. I just did the diced celery, some diced banana pepper, and a good amount of shredded carrot because that's what I had on hand. But the veggies are completely optional. If you wanted to skip this step, you totally could. We're just letting that soften up in the oil and butter a little bit. And now I'm dropping in 2 beef sausage links that I had chopped up for myself. These are fully cooked. We are gonna be adding in black beans as another source of protein. So if you needed to stretch the budget a little bit, you could easily just go with black beans instead and make it vegetarian. But I had a couple beef sausage links on hand that I could use up, so I tossed those in there. All right, we're adding in those black beans now that I had drained and rinsed. And I have some rice that we cooked last night, so this is like day old leftover rice. Doing probably about 3 cups of that. And I like to use my meat masher, I think I mentioned that in the last recipe, to break up those clumps for myself. All right, now what I did was I got myself a little center well there, and I'm just gonna pop an egg in, let that cook through for a minute. Okay, that looks great. We're just gonna incorporate everything together. All right, now we are gonna drizzle about 2 tablespoons of shoyu, AKA soy sauce, into that rice. If you have hoisin or oyster sauce on hand, that's a great addition too. I'm also gonna salt and pepper it. Now you can use whatever seasoning blend you like if you have like an all-purpose. I'm going with the 21 seasoning salute from Trader Joe's. I'm also gonna do a little bit of this everything but the bagel, but I'll end up using a little more of it to top it later too. But I do want a little mixed in. And I'm also, this is completely optional, but I have hot honey on hand, and I was thinking that would be a vibe, kind of like doing sriracha. If you have sriracha on hand and you like sriracha, that would be another good addition, but we're gonna do hot honey instead. And I'm just gonna stir this all together, let it cook for like 5 minutes. It's really all fully cooked. It's pretty much just letting those flavors chill together. I'll probably even just turn off the heat at this point. And you can just taste this at this point, adjust your seasonings to how you prefer your fried rice to taste. And you have lunch or dinner. This came together so fast. I feel like fried rice is so underrated because you can customize it to really any flavor profile you want it to be. And it's so fast to come together in a skillet, and it produces so much food. Plus it's freezer friendly. So I can like take half of this and freeze it for myself to have lunches in the future. And you can really pack the nutrients in there too. Like you can really bump up the amount of vegetables you serve in here. All right, friends, we're doing a back-to-back taste test. We're gonna face off 2 of the dishes.
Oh, it's a dish face off.
Yeah, because I meal prepped one of them. I already got to experience it. John hasn't. But this one, neither of us have tried. We've had butter chicken before, but this time it's just garbanzo beans.
I'm here for it.
So,
because it's the sauce of the butter chicken.
That's what matters. So we just put it on a bed of white rice. I even made it look so pretty.
So pretty.
She's a professional.
Is she though?
Not at all.
Oh shoot.
Oh shoot, he said. I'm gonna keep it straight with you guys. When it came to this dish, John and I are protein people. We love ground chicken. We love ground beef. We love sausage. That's just us. However, I don't even think you would need to add nothing. The garbanzo beans have such a oomph to them. They've got some girth, if you will.
Whoa.
It's been a while since I used that word.
Whoa.
They're there. They showed up to work. Yep. If you're also like, I don't like vegetarian dishes,
well,
get humbled.
That's a vegetarian dish.
Right, get humbled like me. Is it? Did I put I put chicken stock in it, but you could obviously just use vegetable stock. I think I put chicken stock. I don't know, but anyways, if you're a vegetarian, I'm sure you know how to adjust this to make it vegetarian. But what I'm saying is you're not missing out here. If you're also kind of watching it like, I would have to add chicken to butter chicken, I don't think it's necessary. I think this would be a great, if you're trying to do like meatless Mondays, because here we're talking about budget, going meatless even like 1 day a week can help big time on budget. Yep. So this is...
It's a win.
It's a win.
It's a win.
What are you rating that one?
I'm going 9.
I'm also going 9.
That's a solid
Which is just
meal.
funny because honestly, like 5 years ago, I'm somewhat of a curious eater in terms of like, I will try new things. I'll try out new recipes and things like that. But for whatever reason, the category of like curries and things like that have just never really pulled me in. But our neighbor happened to make us butter chicken. And I was like, okay, a meal I don't have to make, bring it on. And then we found out how much we love it. So I'm so happy that happened. So if you're also like, I don't know if I'd like that. To me, it's almost like a sweet marinara sauce. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like you could kick the spice level.
Oh yeah, you can. I'm not going to. But if you wanted to, that Kashmiri chili powder that I added in, if you have somebody like John in your life, you can just sprinkle some extra on there. Sprinkle. I'm gonna get the next one. This one is a black bean garlic fried rice. What's cool with this too is that I meal prepped this, so it's kind of had time to marinate in itself, you know? Thoughts?
My thoughts are, I'm not a fan of black beans, but the flavor, that is a fantastic.
You know what I like about it
rice.
is I thought that it was gonna be like traditional fried rice, like Asian style, like, you know what I mean? Because it's got shoyu and everything in it, but it's a very versatile flavor profile.
Agreed.
Good comfort meal. I think that it would be the type of meal that would be very family friendly, because I feel like any palate would enjoy that. I would probably give that an 8. I'm a huge fried rice fan, and I like black beans, so I personally like it. So of the 3, so remember, besides these 2, we also had that Spanish rice skillet, which, to be honest, I thought that was going to be my number 1.
True, but my number 1's the butter.
Which I am shocked to say that.
Buttered garbanzo beans.
The buttered garbanzo beans. I am shocked to say that, you guys, but I think all 3 of them are stellar.
Oh yeah, that's a win.
My favorite thing about all of them is that they were very budget friendly, and they would serve a large amount of people. So whether that means you have a large family, or you want to take some and then freeze the rest for your future self to thank you for, you're all set. Because if you're going to be in the kitchen working, you might as well do some work for the future too. So all of these are freezer friendly. Hopefully you'll realize that rice and beans, they don't have to be boring, okay?
My favorite thing of all of this is how different rice and beans can be.
It can, and I mean, I bet we could come up with 10 other ways. So if you're a rice and beans maker, because you know, I'm sure there's people out there that clicked on this and was like, what's this girl doing with rice and beans? You let me know down in the comments. And then we can all share with each other. Because this was like fun.
Yeah.
And we, in order to make this video, we had to eat rice and beans like 3 days in a row. And neither of us are mad about that.
I'm here for it.
Because they're all very different. So if you wanted to give yourself a week on the grocery budget to take like a little break, pedal it back, you know, right here. You can make all 3 and you're not going to be bored. Just saying.
Just saying.
We're going to get that feedback over to corporate. If you haven't already, just take this moment, stop yourself, subscribe, because we don't know when the algorithm is going to bring you back to us, and you know you want to hang out, you know you want to be here again, so go ahead and subscribe. Come on back. Oh my god, he's crazy. He always does stuff like when I'm editing, I'm like looking in the background and he's like, yeah, thumbs up, high five, shaka, good, everything's great. And I'm like, wow, it's just who he is. All right, well, I hope we delivered whatever you needed when you clicked on that thumbnail, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye.